Frankenmuth is a Michigan community that's rich with German tradition, and even when the winds start to howl, you can find this tradition alive and well inside the little shops that dot the main street. The Glass House is one cozy little shop you'll want to stop in. There's always a fire burning, and you'll be able to see the glass blower at work, exercising the age-old craft of heating and blowing glass into hundreds of intricate designs and shapes. He likes his work because you can see the fire in his eyes, and it's interesting to watch these glass blowers mold much detail into their little works of art. So there's the Glass House, one place in Frankenmuth to watch artisans at work. Another interesting place is what they call Candle Wonderland, USA. You can see all sorts of candle crafts going on in here. Right now, we can watch the dipping and painting of candles. Now, they don't use paint, they use different colors of wax that are painted on to build up the shape and add color at the same time. In this process, the candles are dipped from one vat of hot wax into another until the desired result is reached. A little nose on the honey bear adds some character to his face, and what would an owl be without eyes? But this type of candle making is just one type you can see here. There's another process which is also interesting to observe. It starts by taking the candle and dipping it in wax, then into water to cool the last coat. Then it goes back into the wax and into the water. This is done over and over, building up many coats of wax on this candle. Then, while the candle is still warm, in comes the knife, which is why this is called candle carving. Just watch how this rather ordinary-looking candle is turned into an extraordinary work of art. Amazing, isn't it? That's Candle Wonderland, USA in Frankenmuth. But if you're in the mood to see some real wood carving, visit the Schnitzelbank shop. George Kielhofer is a real Bavarian wood carver.
It was in 1948 when I left school. I was 14 years of age. We asked around where we could have a chance to be an apprentice, like as a barber or a baker or something like that. I didn't think about carving. But we had to make some money to make a living. And my mother and I went to the Historical Museum. They gave our job, and so we did doll furniture for them. And at that time, I had a chance to get to know the wood carving school, which is right next to it. And so we asked them about starting as a wood carving student there. So I started in September 1908, and I stayed there for 6 years. 4 years wood carving and 2 years cabinet making. That wasn't required, cabinet making, but I took it up anyway because it's good to know how to make a cabinet, because a carver should know all the basics too. After I was through with school, there was, in '52, I left my hometown and went to Munich, worked for a carving shop there for 13 years. And Mr. Brunner from Christmas decoration here used to buy carvings from the shop I worked for. And he asked my boss if they would have a carver to send over here for the festival. And so they sent me over 2.5 weeks with it, which was a real nice chance to get to know people over here and the life. I took this over as my wife, and a year later we were back, immigrated to the States. And we stayed since '67 now. We go back and forth once in a while.
Why does George chew on a wood shaving while he carves? Well, he says all the wood carvers do it. So there's just one more tradition that's alive and well in Frankenmuth. A handful of people make a small crowd in the Schnitzelbank, but if you want crowds, try the famous German restaurants such as the Bavarian Inn, Zender's, or the Black Forest. The original hotel that stood at this site had a capacity of 25 people, but now the Bavarian Inn can and has served over 4,000 people in one day. And what do you think these people stand in line for? You know it must be something good. Well, for most of them, it's the famous Frankenmuth-style fried chicken. And there are lots of trimmings to go with it. Mashed potatoes, dumplings, vegetables, whatever you'd want to make a delicious luncheon or dinner. The setting, of course, is strictly Bavarian. There are several dining rooms, each with a little different mood and decor, but they're all full of hungry people who are really enjoying themselves. You don't have to worry when you're almost out of chicken, because the waitress comes back to the rescue with a fresh plate full of steaming drumsticks, thighs, wings, white meat, all cooked to perfection with a special Frankenmuth recipe. The great thing about this Frankenmuth tradition is that it's all you can eat, family style and delicious. Nobody goes away from Frankenmuth hungry. You better eat up, because there's a lot more to visit in Frankenmuth that we'll be seeing on future Michigan weekends. In fact, in just another month, we'll be back to get into the Christmas spirit at Bronner's.